So for step 41, attaching the wheels, well, we got to first put the front wheels on, and then we're going to put the rear wheels on. And you can see here that it's just going to be these pin pieces, the hex part, and that's going to go into the wheel. Fairly straightforward. But on the back, you can see that along with the bearings and whatnot, there are also some shims that need to be put in to this as well. And it even says here, if the drive shafts slip off when operating, alter locations of MA13 is necessary to fine-tune drive shaft position. So that'll be interesting. So initially I'm definitely going to do it the way that they're showing, but we may have to adjust depending on how things go. Anyways, there are the hardware bits that we need for this, and there are the hex pieces that we're going to need for those front ones as well. So I'll set this up and we'll put it together. So let's put the front wheels on first. And it's kind of interesting because you don't normally see this in Tamiya kits, and I know this is different, but with the front wheels, you don't normally have a hex adapter for this. So this is interesting. So I'm going to take the pin out because they were in there temporarily, and now we're going to use one of these tiny shafts, and we're going to stick that into the hole there, and then we've got one of the hex adapters that now has to fit on there, and you're going to need to align that with the hole in the hex part. So let's make sure that's correct. Looks like I've got that in there now. And now we're going to grab one of our front wheels here, stick that on all the way through, and then of course we've got our flange nut that we'll use to attach this to the front. So grab my box wrench here. And there we go. So there we have one front wheel on. Very, very cool. So let's do the other side. So again, we're going to level this out, make sure that it's horizontal so that we can get one of the shafts in place. Then we'll grab one of our hex adapters. I'm going to stick that on just like that. There we go. And we'll grab our other front wheel, stick that on there, and grab our flange nut. And we'll tighten this all up. And there we go. So there are the front wheels on for our BBX. And I mean, again, look at that suspension travel for the front. That's pretty amazing. Very cool. Okay, so now that the fronts are on, it's time to work on the back. So this is where it gets interesting with all of the little shims and whatnot that we have here that we need to put on. So let's see here. What do we got going? So if we look at, let's do the one that they're showing right off the bat. You can see they're actually showing you putting in this C6 piece before you put in the bearing, which is interesting. You know, in terms of a design, there's your C6 little plastic piece. They're showing that going on first. Then we put the ball bearing in place. There we go, that's on. Then we've got the shims to go on, and that's what these metal little ones are. These metal shims. They're calling them spacers, so let's put one on there. And we'll get the other one on there too. They like to roll away. There we go. Move that with both fingers. Pull that back out. Interesting. So you see the spacers are on just on that side of the bearing, and now we're going to stick one of our little shafts on. So you can see there you've got the spacers by the bearing, and then there's that piece. So now we're going to take our hex piece there, get it on, make sure that that's seating properly, which it has, that's correct. So now we're going to take one of our wheels, put that on, and now we'll tighten this up. So there we go. We've got one of our rear tires on. So we're going to do the same thing now for the other side. So again, we've got this spacer C6 piece that has to go inside here first. Then we slide in the bearing. Right, like that. Then we have these two spacers that have to go on either side. Just like that. There we go. Got them all the way. Then we've got our shaft. So we'll put that in there. Just like that. And then we have these hex pieces here, so let's get that one on. Line it up, push, it's in the right spot, and we'll grab our wheel, and again use our handy dandy box wrench. And we've tightened those up. So there we go. There is our BBX with everything attached now, the wheels. So, I mean, look at the suspension travel, both front and back. Like this really is pretty amazing. It really does have that true dune buggy feel. And and you know, obviously you can see that I did paint the wheels, so I do like that look. And of course with the back as well, I've got the spare tire with the same thing. But I mean, this kit, I'm pretty impressed so far with not only the build, but the overall look of this. Like this actually looks really cool even without any of the bodywork pieces on. It kind of reminds me of one of the Kyosho's. Maybe it was the Javelin or the Scorpion, where all it is the frame. There is no bodywork. And I think that still looks pretty cool. But we're definitely going to paint it. But anyways, there we go. There is step 41 complete. So we're now going to move on to step step 42, and we're going to install the battery pack.